it is our great honor to have two very solid speakers joining us. Of course, one of them is Chandler Guo, who will join us like virtually by video meeting because he is traveling in South Bay right now. And as you can read from the instruction that these are two godfathers in China. One of them is here with us, Nick Yang, and he is the first generation Chinese, the biggest used community for a social networking platform. And later he created another company called Gongzhou.com, which is one of the biggest mobile games operator in China. And right now he transfers to blockchain stuff. Right, but he is very experienced and especially definitely the godfather and the ancestor of Chinese internet enterprises. And our second speaker, Chandler Guo, I think if you're sitting here, I believe 90% of you are gonna know him because he's like the #1, the top influencer and investor for blockchain startups. And we will introduce him later. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Nick Yang. 对，您直接坐这儿是吧？可以，直接聊就好。OK， 然后差不多是半个小时。半个小时足够了，足够了。好。Okay.
Well, hi everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I did prepare a PowerPoint, but I felt that it wasn't good enough. So I'm still going to work on it, and I will just deliver a speech without a PowerPoint. So hopefully, I want to make this very interactive. So I'll do a brief introduction about myself, about my views on blockchain, about my project which I'm working on.
And robots for you. Start entertaining as they are.
Yes. Thanks. And then later on, I'll open up for questions so we can make this more interactive. Maybe should we move this aside so I can see you guys better? Okay, here we go. Okay, personally, when I was introduced, I was one of the, I'm actually very local here too because I graduated from Stanford with this master's degree close to 20 years ago in 1999. So as you know, in 1999 was the start of the internet era, so that everybody was very hyped about doing internet projects, so were we. So what happened was that myself and two of my classmates from Stanford, we decided to do an internet startup. But the difference is that we did a startup in China. That was when we saw that the internet was going to be a phenomenon that's going to change the human race, and that's what I truly felt when the internet hit us. And then another trend we saw coming was that the rise of China. Because 20 years ago, China was a developing country. It was always called a third world country, which is, in terms of the economy, China wasn't even top 10. So when they have like a G8 or G10, China wasn't even a part of it. So it was a very small economy, but everything was developing. So we felt that the internet will be this revolution that's going to hit everywhere in the world. So we felt that China will hit two trends. One is the rise of the internet, the other is the rise of China. So as you can see that China has been a big part of the world economy, as well as a big part of the internet world as well. We see so many China's mega internet companies. So what happened was that we were one of the first companies to start in China, and we got our angel funding from here, from our classmates as well as some of the angel investors in Silicon Valley. So we were angel funded, so just like most of the startups. And we raised our venture capital from major investment firms like Goldman Sachs, the partnership fund of KKR, as well a couple of PE funds as well. So when Goldman Sachs invested in our Series A, we actually got the Series A investment on the same day that Alibaba got the Series A investment from Goldman Sachs. So we all actually started roughly the same time. Alibaba was actually started in 1999 as well, the same years that we did. What happened was that we weren't able to IPO, although we were invested by Goldman Sachs as well as many other investors. We hit the internet stock market crash. If you guys read the history or you lived through it, then you know that the share prices of Yahoo or Amazon or most of these companies fell like 90% down. So it was a traumatic event for the internet age, and everyone just almost the entire market, when the stock market crashed, and people were saying that, oh, see, we told you, the internet was a bubble, it's a fake, it's a fluke, and all these companies will be gone, it will be wiped out, and we're gonna live our life just the way it was many years ago. So everyone can see that although we weren't able to IPO, we ended up selling the company to a listed company on NASDAQ. That's the end of my first venture. My second venture, I started a year and a half after I sold my first company. Then we took part of the mobile internet age. When we started our company, we saw the growing opportunity of mobile internet. Because when we started the company in 2002, that was the age when we were still using those old black and white phones. They could go online, but it uses WAP. It uses 2.5G technology. It wasn't even 3G. It runs GPRS. I don't know if you guys do remember that. It was very crude technology and very low throughput. But still, we saw that it's going to come, and the mobile internet will be huge in the future. So we started our second company, and we were able to list on NASDAQ, being the leader in mobile games, in mobile music, mobile images, etc. So then I sold my company, the public company, to several private investors in 2008 to start my other part of my career, which is become a very active angel investor in China. Because I angel invested in my first company, and I feel that China has many entrepreneurs, and so there was a great opportunity to become an angel investor. And angel investing was very new and rare in China, because in China, most of the companies, although they were able to get venture capital, but angel investing, as you know, is something that, because it requires more knowledge of the market, more knowledge of the financial system, so that most people weren't able to take part of it. But so I started one of the earliest angel investment funds in China, and also together with many leading angel investors, started right now the biggest angel investment association in China, and I was the first president. And the term is 2 years, and right now we're in the third term, the third president of the association. And currently, almost all of the leading angel investors in China are part of the association. So it's a very influential group in China. And I invested in many companies since I started my fund in 2011 till now. There were several companies that's filing for IPO today, and as well as some I exited through trade sales and mergers, etc. So I invested a total of close to 100 companies. Most of the companies in I call it future technologies, because I came from internet, because I was one of the first entrepreneurs to be in the internet field. I was one of the first entrepreneurs in the mobile internet field. Although I sold the company, made the company public, it wasn't to myself, it wasn't big enough. So it wasn't as big enough an impact to the world as I hoped it to be. So I felt that the internet was it's dominated by these huge powerhouses, right? In China, there's Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, Jingdong, JD, and in the United States, it's called the flag, right? Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon, Google. So these 8 companies monopolized the entire internet. So internet used to be fun, used to be plenty of opportunities for everyone. Ended up that it wasn't an opportunity for anyone. So it's very hard to do anything on the internet. So I quit the internet. I decided I'm going to invest in AI, virtual and augmented reality, drones, future transportation, robotics, So these are the areas I focus on. So I invest in many companies, and many of them are doing very well in many of these advanced fields. As well as another growing opportunity I foresaw in China was the rise of content, media content, because China used to be for many years was a homogeneous society. The reason for that is, with the Communist Party and everyone wore the same clothes, they read the same books, watched the same TV shows, and learn. People are the same. People live their life as everyone followed it's like a factory. Everyone turned out to be they think alike. And compared to the Western world, like the United States, is a heterogeneous society, which means that everyone's very different. Some like punk music, some like alternatives, some like hip hop. Some people like to ski, some people like to play golf, some people like to skydive. Everyone was different. And so in terms of media and content, and in the United States, there's a vast, diverse content consumption in the US. And in China, China is becoming that way. So people who were born in the 60s and 70s are more alike. In the 80s and 90s are more individual. And after 2000, it's very, very different. So I saw this opportunity of having a huge demand for varieties of content. So I invested in many, many content players. So many of them are digital content players. So made for internet movies, made for internet dramas, like Netflix, like these short videos, etc., etc. So many of these companies doing very well as well. So I thought that I hit the end of my entrepreneurial career. So I'm not going to be an entrepreneur anymore. So I'm going to be an investor. Let's entrepreneur change the world. I'll be the backer of them in terms of as an investment role. Then something hit me last year. Okay, what happened was that in September 4th, it was an important day in China because the government banned blockchain. And I felt that blockchain, I actually knew about it for many years. I heard of this thing, Bitcoin, of course. I know Bitcoin, blockchains. I actually heard of blockchain in 2009. That was when blockchain was first introduced into the world. And who I heard this from? From Tim Draper, Draper Fisher Jefferson. I was in his office, and because he was one of the VCs who invested in my second company, which went public on Nasdaq, and he was telling me about this Bitcoin. And I heard him tell me what Bitcoin is. I'm like, why is there any value to this? I don't understand why would anyone would want to pay anything for it. Of course, I didn't hear his advice to buy coins at that time. In 2013, one of the early coin exchanges in China, it was called OKCoin, went for an investment round, angel round investment. A friend of mine introduced me to this deal. I actually agreed to invest in it. I didn't sign a contract, right? Orally, I agreed to invest in it. Then after a second thought, I thought, it's all bullshit. It's worthless. So I decided not to invest anything in it. Now it's one of the leading exchanges on the Bitcoin today. So all along, I saw that this blockchain phenomenon is fake, fraud, it's a Ponzi scheme. So there's no value to this. So that's what, okay, thank you. That's what I thought of it. Then last year, the government banned it. I'm like, if the government's going to ban it, it must be something very significant now. And if I'm against it, I should know about it, right? So that's what people say, that if you criticize something, you should really understand it before you criticize it. You can be a better critic. So I took some time to really look into the white papers, the source code. I actually downloaded the source code, the smart contracts, and I was writing my own smart contracts on the Ethereum and the EOS and all of these the chains. All of a sudden it hit me that this is going to be the greatest thing that happened to the human race So 180 degrees reverse of opinion, because prior to October of last year, during many of the interviews with the media, I have always been a voice critic of blockchains. Then 180 degrees, I'm one of the biggest promoters of blockchains. And I felt the same excitement I felt in 1999 when the internet came about, because I understood the deep implications that the blockchain will have on the humans. So the human race will be, in the future, 20 years from now, there will be the human race before blockchains, the human race after blockchain. There will be a total new era that's gonna unfold. And so it's not an upgrade of the internet. It's not like mobile internet. Mobile internet is an upgrade of the internet, right? It's become more ubiquitous. It's more higher speed, more connected devices. It's just more. So it's a better version of the internet, the mobile internet. But blockchain is a very different animal. It's to understand blockchains, you have to understand the social, philosophical impact of it. It's going to be as big, if not bigger. I think it might perhaps be bigger than the internet that we saw today. So my view on the blockchains is that it's just like the internet. It has 1,000 faces, meaning that if you ask 1,000 people what internet is, you get 1,000 different answers. What is the internet? Is it the physical network? Is it the e-commerce? Is it the transfer of information? Depends on how you abstract the concept of the internet. And blockchains is the same. You ask people, 1,000 person who are in the blockchain industry, what is blockchains? You get 1,000 answers. And in the bottom of it, just like the internet, it's a new technology. Humans, our race, our culture is propagated by technology, right? Before, in the ancient ages, fire was a technology, how to make fire. And paper was a technology, printing press, industrial revolution, electricity, transportation. It's power. So we're propagating internet. Our race was propelled by technology. So technology is the foundation of our human race. So that's why Silicon Valley, or all the technology hubs, we're actually making our human race improve and move to the next level. So on the bottom of it, the blockchain technology, people say, some critics will say, oh, blockchain technology is very simple. It's just P2P. It's peer-to-peer. It's a distributed data structure. That's actually what it is. It's a data structure that lives on many different nodes and they're connected by these hash code. But that's really understated. So the key point I understood, share my opinion on the technology, from the technology level, is that there's a huge difference between technology prior to blockchains and technology now. Is that blockchains, because of its distributed data structure, is that the one thing is data integrity. You can guarantee data integrity. And prior to blockchains, you cannot. For example, you have a laptop in your office. There's an Excel worksheet in your laptop. It's an Excel file. There's a line of numbers of data in the Excel. The next morning, you go to the office. Can you trust the number in your own laptop? You cannot. Because overnight, there might be some hacker that hacked into your computer that changed that number. And you're like, okay, I use NetScreen, I use many of the firewall technology, I have security consultants which shielded my office. There's no way the hackers can come in. But it could be your employee who has a password and change that number. You still cannot trust the data integrity of your system, because any number that's stored in a central location, that number cannot be trusted. And with the blockchain, with a distributed data structure, all the numbers you can trust on the blockchain because it's guaranteed by all the peers. And it's distributed ledger, everyone writes it. So data integrity, data openness, and irreversibility. So you cannot, once it's written, it's always there. You change it, the change log is there. So you can always trace back to all the numbers. So all the data on the blockchain are trustworthy. And this is the first time that happened. So it's more than just like Napster, Emu or BitTorrent. Although it's a peer-to-peer network, it doesn't have the data integrity aspect of the blockchains. And that's the most important technology improvement of the blockchains. So on the technology level, that's it. And now you ask, what's good about data integrity? Why do you care if the number is trusted? Oh, that's total, it opens up a new world open by having data that's trusted. Because you can, when you do business, you can trust your partners. Because your partner's numbers and your numbers, you don't have to worry about getting cheated. And you don't worry about people lie. They cannot, because once that something's happened, it's written on the chain, it's always there. So people can never, so it's very, very hard for people to do bad things. So that's going to be very, very important to how we conduct our economic activity. Before we conduct our economic activity, we talk to our business partners, we negotiate, we haggle, we have all these legal documents to make sure that we're not cheated. But with blockchains, it's very, very open, so you know that you're not going to be cheated. And when we worry about that, oh, they don't give you their fair cut because money goes to them, and they decide to withhold it, and they only give you a little bit. But with smart contracts and with all these mechanisms on the blockchain, whatever your business partner has to give you, it's given automatically. They cannot even revoke it. And that's, so it's going to totally change how the humans conduct economic activity. And when that happens, when we open up all these doors and all these potentials, our economy will grow at an astonishing rate, at a rate that we will even unimaginable how you grew. Today, our GDP growth for the last 20, 30 years has been fueled by internet. What the internet is? Internet actually bridged the information gap. So it's an information network. So what happens is that internet makes information barrier, across the information barrier. But with the advent of blockchains, it's going to break transaction barrier. It's going to, so blockchains a lot of times is called the value internet rather than being the traditional internet, which would be called the information internet. And with the transaction internet, with the value internet, all the human activity that we do every day, we transact every day. I pay the parking meter, I buy a piece of pizza, we do a business deal, we transact with our customers. Humans transact economically all the time. And when you break that barrier, the world economy will grow much, much bigger than anyone can imagine with this new technology, with the technology of the blockchains. So that's on the economic level, okay? Besides, when you have the ICO, it's going to change the way that VCs conduct business. How you raise money will be different. The stock market will be challenged by these chain exchanges, et cetera, et cetera. That's on the economic level. And on the social, philosophical level, how that's going to change our world. You know how the internet changed our social behavior? Before, without the internet, we used to go to people's houses and just chat with people. A friend, you visit them. And right now, you visit your friends virtually. You're always in connected with your friends through Facebook, through Twitter. So although maybe a friend you haven't seen for like 5 years, but you know exactly what they've been doing. This is unthinkable, right? Like before. like maybe before the internet, if you have a friend you haven't seen 5 years, in 5 years time, you will even forgot what he looks like. But with the internet, it changes our social behavior. You're connected to every friend you ever have via the internet, and so you're more connected than ever. So that's how the internet changed us socially, philosophically, and how the blockchain is going to change us social philosophically. It's going to change our economic model, our how we interact with each other. Okay, it's the more I looked into blockchains, the more I feel that then I remember a philosopher 200 years ago who had written a book about how our world will evolve. He said that when we started our world, our human race, we started with the feudal system. Means that we have slave masters, slaves, that's before, a long time ago. Then we have these nobility and peasants. So our economic structure is based on birth, like in old ages. If you're a noble, you don't work. If you're a peasant, you work for the nobles. You belong to you're a serf, and you belong to the nobles. You work, and the nobles get all the rewards. That's how the economic structure worked many years ago. Then after the Industrial Revolution, there's many people who have money. They decided that the feudal system is not good. So they said, we want to introduce an institution called companies. And companies have investor, employees, and customers. That's usually how the company is structured. And the investors hold the shares, employees work, the investors pay the employees salaries, and the employees work, and so they make money off the customers, and the profits goes to the investors or the shareholders. That's how the structure. And he preferred to call these investors. Investors like to call them the investors, but they're actually he called them capitalists. Capitalists are these shareholders. Employees are the workers, or it's called the proletariat, according to the doctrine. Capitalist, proletariat, and the customers. So there is these essential conflicts, two essential conflicts. One is between the proletariat or the workers against the capitalists or the shareholders, because all the profits goes right up to the shareholders. So what happens that you see many times these employees, they're like, why should I work so hard? Because the money goes to the boss. So they decide not to work very hard. So that's the essential conflict. Another conflict is between the customers and the company. For example, the Apple's margin on the iPhone is 40%. I feel very bad buying an iPhone because I feel that these guys making a ton of money on me because I pay $1,000 to buy an iPhone. $400 goes to Apple.
Not to mention the people actually making it.
Yes, not to mention the people actually making it. So there's a conflict between the customers and the company. Why we accept that today? Why we're like, this is normal, you know, you live in this world and you're like, oh, this is very normal. Because 300 years, that's when the institution called company was introduced to the world. For 300 years, everyone was brainwashed to accept this as normal. For 300 years. You know how they brainwash you? Because the capitalist owns the media. So the media always tells you, this is how it works. The capitalist owns the education institution. These business schools are run by these capitalists. So the business schools usually teaches you. You know, as an employee, your mission is to create shareholder value. Have you heard of this? Why do you, as entrepreneurs, you know what you should do? You should make your investors make money. This is like, oh, this is totally acceptable. This is the way it is, right? And as a customer, you're like, oh, this company makes money off me. This is very normal. That's why they have the company. They make a profit. It's very, very normal. It's very fair. And this philosopher was born 200 years ago. Actually, this year is 200 years since he was born. So he's like, this is totally not fair. Why should the workers be exploited by these capitalists? Why should these customers be exploited by these companies? It's just not fair. So he said, the world will transition from a capitalist society to a socialist society, where everyone will be paid according to their work. And there's nobody who extract these profits off these workers as well as the customers. So we'll become a socialist state. All these enterprises will be public services. That's this guy said. So they said his ideas are like a ghost that spread around the capitalist world. And this guy, his name is Karl Marx. And everybody in China would know Karl Marx because the foundation of these communist countries are based on the philosophies of Karl Marx. And Karl Marx, of course, for the past 200 years, have a lot of supporters and advocates, especially 100 years ago, all right, when the idea was still very fresh. And after many years, his ideas were disregarded because it wasn't managed very well. And people are like, it's not going to happen. Oh, the capitalist world, it's still going to be the way it is. But what happens today, there's a reason why, if you look at blockchains, the idea of the blockchains is very, very socialist. The reason for that is because the reason why the socialist system didn't work, what my understanding, my take from it, is because the reward based on your work, if it's done through a centrally managed system, it can never be fair. The person with power to distribute the rewards are very prone to be very evil. And that's what happened. All right, so many of the countries failed because the central planner and the central reward distributor it's not fair. They don't do it fairly. So people got disillusioned with the ideas of communism, with the socialism. So with blockchains, it actually solves all the problems of central planning. So it will be a new experiment of the human race to make a better society. And that's what blockchains is all about, social philosophically. It's very, very socialistic. So the latter part of my talk is I'm going to share with you when I felt this, is that I felt that we can finally overthrow the monopoly and the tyranny of these evil tech giants, which they are more monopolistic than ever. They're more monopolistic than Rockefeller. They're more monopolistic than Andrew Carnegie. This is what happens, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Alibaba, Tencent. These are the evil giants who rise over all of us. They command all the data, they command all the users, and they make huge and tons of profit. Look at the profit margins. Look how huge these companies are. And why? It's not very fair. It's not fair at all. So with blockchains, I finally could, because I was one of the pioneers who got disillusioned with the internet because the internet is monopolistic. Now with the advent of blockchains, I jumped back as being an entrepreneur because I want to lead a revolution again. We call it the second revolution, to overthrow these tech monopolies. And to hit them, the reason why they become a monopoly is because of data. And with the internet, the most valuable asset on the internet is data. The reason why these giants are huge is because they monopolize the data. And that has nothing to do with consumers, with the users. Although it's your data, it's everybody's data, but these guys take advantage of it. They make a tons of profit on it, and the users get nothing, except exorbitant prices on these products. These advertisers who advertise on Google, They have to put it the advertising dollars on every product they sell, and the consumer actually paid Google the advertising dollars. So it's just not fair. So what my project is called CDC. And it's called Commerce Data Connection, which is a chain. It's a public chain. It's application specific public chain, so that users upload their data voluntarily to get rewards, to get coin rewards. And the advertisers have to buy the coins from the users in order to advertise and leverage of the data that the consumers use on the consumer data, so that so it will be an ecosystem, and the entire ecosystem is a social enterprise, meaning that the ecosystem makes nothing, makes zero profits. So it will be like a decentralized Google, a decentralized ad network, a decentralized data network, that the consumers get rewarded for their data by the advertiser, which is also a users of the ecosystem. So the ecosystem is like it will be called an economic body. It would not be called business model. So anyone who tells you a blockchain, what's our business model, they don't understand blockchains, because business model means profit model, and blockchain projects should be non-profits. The model itself. So it will be, when you talk about blockchain, you should talk about economic model rather than business model. An economic model is like a country. Like the United States has an economic model, which we have different participants, we run economic activity, but the country itself is non-profit. Nobody owns the United States. Nobody's the U.S.'s shareholder. It belongs to everyone, every citizen of the country. And China, every country, all countries are social enterprises. So myself, when I run CDC, which is my project, I call myself the Secretary General of CDC. Because I'm not the CEO, I'm not the chairman, the president, I'm the Secretary General. So I run the community. So I'm a community organizer. That's what I call myself. And that's the way you should think about yourself. You're a social entrepreneur. And how do I make money? Of course I make money. Why? Because in the economic activity, the economic model, in the social economic system, the individuals are actually profitable. The system itself is not profitable. So how I make it? I initially have some coins. Right now, initially I got 12% of the coins so 88% public. I only own 12% of the coins. So when the economic system risen up, of course I become profitable because I can just sell some of the coins. I can become profitable, and that's the way it is. So as a leader, as a founder of the system, so I should have the rights to that. That's many species. When Satoshi started Bitcoin, he gave himself 4%. I felt 4% is too low. I think anything below 15% is okay. As the founding father of the system. It's similar to, this is the way I view it, okay. United States itself is a blockchain project. It's a social enterprise. How this country got founded? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, they got together and wrote a white paper, which is called the Constitution. That's how the country is run. It's how the economic system, how the political system is run. And it's open source. All blockchains are open source. Whenever someone tells you, oh, our source code is hidden or without patents, not very blockchain-ish. Blockchain should be open source. And anybody could copy it. Like the United States political system, the Constitution. If you want to start a country and want to copy the US system, go ahead. You can copy the Constitution. It's very open to the public. The system, the structure, Congress, Supreme Court, presidency, the presidential office, you can copy every aspect of it. The value of the United States, the value of all the coins, or all the blockchain projects, is the number of people, the amount of economic activity that evolves in the United States. You can start a country. You can set up a system called the Federal Reserve. You have your dollars, and you have your system. Go ahead. You can copy blockchain's source code, copy Ethereum source code, or EOS source code. You can go right ahead. You copy the white paper. But as long as you don't have the community, so the power of the blockchains is the community. So the more you get people to become part of a community, the more you service the community, the more value you have. And that's how it is. That's why Bitcoin, being the biggest community, is right now worth the most. Ethereum, second biggest, worth the second most. And that's how it works. So the reason why I'm here, I want to find ambassadors. We will be called chain ambassadors. Chain ambassadors help me build the community in the United States. We want to build it everywhere. North America, South America, Europe, Africa. You know, that's blockchain. It's an international social enterprise. To be a part of the project, you're not just buying the coins. So a lot of times I call it the value system. Don't get involved in blockchains because you want to make some money. It's very, very bad. It starts from the bad approach. It comes from the bad heart. Okay, you want to come with your part of a social movement. You want to be socially evolved. Making money, it will come as an afterthought. You know, when the movement becomes huge, you're part of this great movement. Of course, it has a lot of value. The coins you have, of course, will have huge amounts of potential. It depends on the number of community members you have. It truly is. I look at the American system. Actually, I grew up in the United States. So I came to the United States when I was 10, and then after Stanford, I went back to China. So it was spent 13 years in the United States. And the Americans, very, very patriotic. Of the American system, you know, they're very proud because the liberty, justice for which it stands, you know, that's the whole thing about the American. And it's very, very blockchainish. So they want to promote it. They want to get more people involved, so people to be a part of the community, a part of the ecosystem. And that's how it works. So that's why I'm here, hopefully to get some people to be part of our system. And of course, we're very, very socialist.
What can you imagine?
18 years is very important.
Tiananmen Square, man.
So socialist means that you work, you get rewarded. You spend time, you spend effort, you get rewarded. That's very, very fair. The socialist believes in fairness. I'm not talking about the socialism in many countries who call themselves socialists. Okay, I'm saying that of course President Xi Jinping, I believe he's misunderstood. He's actually making the country right. So China was lost for a number of years, and people got disillusioned with the concept of communism. Got disillusioned with the concept of China, but I believe he's getting it back. So. According to, I talk about democracy, okay? I'm not afraid to talk democracy, even in China. You know, democracy is a core characteristic of communism. It truly is. If you look at the doctrine by Karl Marx, and if you truly look at the doctrine even today by the Communist Party, the communist value system, which the President Xi Jinping has said, there's the core values, okay? The number 2 value on the core values of the Communist Party is democracy. Number 2. Number 1, make the country strong. Number 2, democracy. It's written as the second core principles of the country. So what it means is democracy is actually misunderstood. Okay, China has always said the goal is to become a democratic country, which is from the Communist Party. But the democracy is a little different than the democracy in the Western world, is your view on it. Because in the Western world, it's more of what's called a direct democracy. And in the Chinese democracy, it's called a democratized central system. What it means, let me explain it to you this way. Okay, why this is important? Because this makes you understand the difference between Bitcoin and EOS. EOS is like China's democracy. Bitcoin is not even like American democracy. Bitcoin is like the Swiss system. I don't know if you guys understood the Swiss government system, because this is important to understand Bitcoin and EOS. Is that the Swiss government, it doesn't have a national leader. It doesn't have one today. Do you know the president of Switzerland? Have you ever heard of the president of Switzerland? Have you ever heard of the prime minister of Switzerland? Because they don't have it. It's amazing. Switzerland is ruled by a council. Nobody has ever heard of the president of Switzerland. And second, is that before Swiss became a country or government, Switzerland doesn't even have nobility. It never had nobility. You know, the rest of Europe, they have these princes, dukes, you know, the earls who have peasants. Switzerland, you know, these mountaineers, they live on the mountains. And in the spring, when the snow melts, they go into the valley, and they decide on everything through referendum. That's how the Swiss was ruled. They go and they vote on whatever, and after they vote, they go back to the mountains. That's how the Switzerland works. It's everything through direct democracy, referendum. That's Bitcoin. The problem with that, inefficient. Look at the transaction numbers. Look at how Bitcoin was so slow. And with the EOS, represented democracy means that you have these supernodes. The 21 supernodes decide on everything. Become very efficient. In the United States, try to build a high-speed rail. Oh my God, it costs forever. No, it's still not being built. In China, decide to build. The Politburo said built. Great, go. So there's good things about a representative democracy rather than a direct democracy. So that's how the different philosophy works. But I guess in a matter of time, but I can still go on about philosophy, technology, my project. But I want to say that maybe we'll have a little time for interaction, or friends on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, we are.
Okay.
So, guys, we are open to 3 questions due to the time issue. Yeah. So anyone? Okay.
Have you heard of a concept called Confucian democracy?
What?
Have you heard of a concept called Confucian democracy?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I wrote a paper on that when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I studied comparative politics. Never thought actually it would be useful until today. More practical than you thought. It's this concept, Asian democracy.
Yeah.
Using Confucius' teaching as they put the community before the self.
Yes.
In a way that you democratize the system. Yeah, I'd love to chat more with you about that.
Yeah, I think so. There's cultural differences how you view on democracy.
That was actually one thing that united the US and China back in the 1920s. One of the first teachers of American democracy came here. So that's Chandler.
Yeah, that's Chandler, sorry. Yeah, I knew it was like that.
So,
Go ahead. Yeah.
sorry. So I got another question. I'm kind of interested in CDC, and the data like on blockchain is actually a very interesting and sensitive topic. And starting with a very basic question. So the data that's in CDC, are the hash kind of uploaded to the blockchain, or are the data actually uploaded to the blockchain?
The users upload to the blockchain. The blockchain is a P2P storage mechanism.
So all the data are actually on the blockchain?
Yes, on the miners' machines.
Okay.
But it's not a full redundancy. Means that the data is on some of the miners' machines. There's redundancy, but not full redundancy. Because as we can imagine, it's
exactly,
huge data. And also, like, why would advertisers want to pay to use the data? Why can't they just become a node and get all the data? They cannot. So advertisers have to pay the miners to mine their own data and get uploaded, sourced together to be used by the advertiser. So they'll have to pay through coins. So the system everybody will share. The users, miners, and the algorithm provider.
And you're building your own chain to do
Yes,
this?
yes, yes. We're building our own chain to do this.
What's your consensus for
similar to EOS, we build out the core technology to the similar technologies used by EOS. EOS, BTS, BitShares, all done by this guy, BM. BM, Bitmaster. Yeah. He's so there's he's one of the in Chinese called 活佛 or saint of BitChain.
Yeah, like master.
Yeah, master. Yeah. So basically, there's three of them, right? Well, Satoshi, Vitalik, and BM. So and they all have their belief. So it's like religion. Okay, it's like three sectors. Are you like a Catholic, a Baptist, Lutheran? Depends on what you believe. You know, they have different teachings.
Wait, so you build on Ethereum or the EOS? Because EOS mainnet is not out yet.
No, we're not building on EOS. We're building on the DPoS architecture.
We do
supernodes. We do supernode voting too.
Okay.
EOS is a voting system. It's constantly voting. It's voting every second. These supernodes. When you vote for yourself and others vote for you, and you withdraw your vote, pew, you're gone. So it's voting all the time. You can imagine. It's like a constant vote. It's like like US, they do approval rating for the president. You know, Trump always says, "Oh, I'm getting more than 50% of approval rating. I'm better than Obama, who only get 40%." So it's like what a constant voting system is like this. Who sits in the White House? It's constantly voting. If you get 50%, gone. The next guy get 50%, goes in, said bye-bye, I've changed the president. It's constant voting. So the supernodes are constantly voted. Yeah.
Yeah, we are open to one last question.
Okay. No, I think you should raise your hand.
I was just going to quickly ask what the data is that you put on because you're selling your data, but what is that data?
Consumer data.
But, okay, how are you gathering your own consumer data?
From users. For example, your Amazon transaction, your Walmart transactions, you upload it.
So I opt in to set this up on my system and then
yes.
sell it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. You decide what you put on.
Yeah.
You get rewarded for putting it on, and you get rewarded for people using it.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm afraid we have to stop from here. But I believe Mr. Nick Young will leave his contact to all of you. And I'm wondering if we can, because the track is up, so we're a little bit late. And these amazing gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, still hang out here. Do you think it's okay that we do some airdrop to these people?
Yes.
Oh yeah, lovely. So I just got you guys millions of dollars, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Oh,
to the moon. 能听到吗，我哥
Yeah， 能听到。
OK， 好。咱人不太多，今天那个就有点晚，然后人不太多。
Oh, one piece center.
Hello guys.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up, Chandler?
Look, I'm very handsome.
Follow me, man.
Man. Well, I was not a friend here. Wow. Anyone have a 100 Bitcoin? Raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, here I have 400 Bitcoin right now. Okay. No matter right now how much Bitcoin you have, in the future you should be working hard to get more Bitcoin. The best way you should do the ICO. So right now you need to quit your job and do the ICO. If you have jobs, okay? And okay. So the first thing I'm杨宁，我不知道你的英文名叫啥？叫啥
？Nick，
叫 Nick。
啊
？Nick N-I-C-K。
Nick。啊 Nick。
对。
Nick。It's your first show in the San Francisco.
Yeah.
Here, everyone is hungry, thirsty. You know, you ever remember the movie The Sex and the City? Sex and City actually happening in San Francisco, not in New York. You know Sex and City? Okay, here everyone is crazy, is sexy, is hungry, you know, they're thirsty. They want, everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to be the billionaire, not a millionaire, okay? So everyone is here to, you know, to want to reach, want a million, right? So I congratulations, Nick. You're the hungry guy, you know. Right now, everyone want to fall in love with you, mix love with you, you know. Because you're a millionaire already. You're a billionaire already, okay? So everyone here want to, you know, try to follow your way to make a lot of money. So everyone comes here to know your parents how to make money, right? So first easy way to quit your job. If you have a job, you never be a billionaire, okay? Here everyone just need first thing you should do is just to quit your job or fire your boss. Then you do the ICO, okay? No matter what kind of idea you do, you must have to do the ICO, okay? This is first priority you should do right now. And after you do the ICO, okay, you should go to China roadshow and go to travel around the world to roadshow. Even maybe a lot of people say the San Francisco have a lot of bubble coin, but never mind. You need to do the bubble coin because everyone here like the bubble coin. Bubble coin means you don't need to do nothing. You just the white paper, blue paper. What kind of paper? You just yellow paper. Okay, just make more paper. It's paperwork, you know. You should do a lot of paperwork and travel around, like Nick do, you know. Nick do a lot of jobs, not a bubble coin. You know, bubble coin can grow in 100 times. But a real job, the real coin like Nick do, is coin, you know, it's too little bubble. It's small bubble, cannot be big. So first thing you should don't study from the Nick. Nick guy is very working hard. He don't want to do the bubble. But right now the market is like the bubble, like it's fun, you know, like the US. And maybe before that everyone thinks that it's shit coin. Just a shit coin. Everyone thinks about the Neo quantum, nothing at there. But everyone love the bubble, you know. That's why the bubble coin can grow in like 100 times. So everyone should do the same. Do the bubble, not do the real. If you do the real, your life become a bubble. If you do the bubble, your life become a real money. We're doing your future, okay? I'm sorry I cannot be there as a traffic problem. Right now I'm running at one piece in here in the Santa Clara, San Jose. So here I have the one piece guy, you know, what you got at one piece, totally 100 one piece, you know. So okay, everyone. If Nick can successful, you can. Yes, you can. You are next to Obama, you know? Yes, you can. Definitely. Okay. If the Nick can make the China better, great again, you too. You can make the American great again. You can make America great again, okay? Do the American ICO, okay? Forget about all the bullshit token. You do the same bullshit. You know? If you don't do the bullshit token, you never can grow up like 100 times. You know? All of the top token in the bubble, make it 100 times. You should do the same. So, everyone here, just remember my word. you can do shitcoin and make America great again.
We already did. Say Donald Trump.
Yes, you can.
We already have our coins. Donald.
Okay, my friend. I think I wish you have a good time to beer. You know, beer time is coming. I need to go to the beer barbecue. So the next time, everyone, you know that food is Eric. Eric, show the everyone to the Crypto Valley in the left gallery. I'm moving my phone in the left gallery. Eric will be moving to our Crypto Valley. Welcome to our Crypto Valley. All of the links in there. You don't know link, but I mean the link can make the bubble, and you should work hard. Okay. So Nick.
Yes.
Congratulations again.
Oh, thank you.
I wish your token 100 times. So
Okay.
I wish you do the much more. You can do PS,
Okay.
PS. You should make her sound like people in this conference. You should, it's just, right now only 10 people, but you can do the PS.
Yeah.
PS, Photoshop. Copy everyone here, and I like the sound of people at this conference. Yeah, when you should PR the article to China, you should do the copy a lot of people can hear. Look like it's crazy. Everyone wants the leak token, we should copy. We should PS of this all the audit. Audit must be a lot of guests here. So everyone, it's a beer time. I need to go. Bye everyone. I hope you can be the millionaire.
We love you, Chandler.
Bye-bye.
Michael,你要说那边吗？It's close. Okay, so I think he already drank something already.
We got the economics.
Yes. So it's opposite ends. Okay. Chandler has said, I'm not a bubble coin, so my coin goes like this. I don't go like this.
Nick, maybe you should tell people that you're a bubble coin.
But depends on how you, like what I said before, it depends on where your heart is. Why are you in this? Okay, I'm in this because I'm just like I was in the internet industry 20 years ago. I was in it not because I wanted an IPO. I was in to change the world, which I wasn't able. I did somewhat, right? One of the very popular early social networks, public company on Nasdaq, but wasn't big enough. And this time, I want to make a huge impact because blockchains is a grassroots movement. Before, I create a product. Customer and me were opposite ends, And so you use my product, I make money off you, and our relationship is in the Marx terms, it's a struggle.
You've been reading that guy, huh?
Of course. I'm good at losing.
Struggle, right? 斗争 or is the struggle. So what? Yeah, well, I'm communist. No, I'm not communist. But it is a struggle because you want to make more money off the customer.
Yeah.
The reason why you want people to use your product, of course, I want to make money off you, and it's a conflict. It's a struggle. But I totally changed. I used to be a capitalist. This is like Alcoholic Anonymous, I used to be a founder, capitalist, investor, and I want to end the struggle. So what happens is that Karl Marx has a good friend because he was very poor. He cannot support himself, and he wants to write. He wants to write and work on his work, and he couldn't pay for rent or food. So his friend, who's a big capitalist, and his name is called Frederick Engels. Engels. So most Chinese know this. Marx and Engels. They co-authored the book Das Kapital, Communist Manifesto. They co-authored. And Engels, why he was the second author? Because he paid Karl Marx. Otherwise, he could not buy food. So Benjamin Engels was a capitalist. He felt that it wasn't right. The world should not be like this. So for me, although I used to be a founder, investor, shareholder, but I felt that there should be a better way. And blockchains is a better way. It's very grassroots. It gets everybody involved. So let's start from the mindset. I already changed my mindset. I'm a social entrepreneur. So today, they said about airdrop. Airdrop under one condition. Okay, I want everyone to be in our Telegram group. And second, I want you guys to be CDC ambassadors. And what is a CDC ambassador? Just tell people about CDC and tell people about this data movement. If you do that, we pay you every month. We airdrop every month.
Deal.
Deal, right?
What's your website?
What?
What's your website?
Oh, actually, our website is cdc.tech. Right now, we're working on right now it's because already new, it's a startup, right? So with only the Chinese version, but the English version will come very soon. And our English Telegram group, so we're gonna, in the future, we're gonna be based on our community through languages. I think that's a good idea, right? So basically, we have English group, Japanese group, Spanish group, you know? So we're gonna be like, you choose which community you want to join based on your language. So in the future, we have more and more of these languages. So we're going to run, right now it's still, it's not very supported toward North America, but I'm going to get it very soon. So today, I'm here to find people who want to be, depends how involved you want to be. Do you want to be very, very involved? Of course, you become our team here. Not very involved, just be, you know, just on the internet, just take things about this idea, be an ambassador. So it's, different ways you can get involved. So, but we're going to be a big presence in North America. I mean, North America means here, Canada, and Mexico. And we're going to Mexico. So we're going to South America. We're going to everywhere. So we're going to have different communities. It's really about effecting change. These big internet monopolies, very bad, very evil. We want to end that. We want to end this taking advantage of these users and the consumers by the likes of Zuckerberg, Larry Page, very bad people. Okay, they weren't always bad, you know. 20 years ago, I was in Stanford, and Larry Page and Zuckerberg was in Stanford. We're in Stanford at the same time. These were good kids, good people. Now, very bad. Why? Because they said power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Yeah. So they become very bad people. Zuckerberg used to be a good kid in Harvard. Now, very evil. Okay, so we want to end that. Oh, I'm not saying that maybe if I had power, I'd be evil too. Okay, I didn't have power. So I started my internet company. It didn't become a monopoly.
Can you say more specifically what do you mean besides the data privacy, selling data on people? What else makes them evil?
What's evil?
Yeah.
Using consumer data makes huge tons of profits on it, and the consumers gets nothing, and their data is being used just to make profits. So the line gets moved further and further away. Look at Zuckerberg, right? That testified he covers. I think he did a good job because otherwise he'd be. I think they will pass laws against him.
Congress just didn't understand what they were even questioning him about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I got the Americans aware. It's like, wow, you have all this data. You can do all this bad.
Yep.
Yep. So they're betting for him now. So I think CDC will have a good audience in America because of Zuckerberg, because of the testimony. So I think that's good. So people are aware. I just want people to be aware of the bad things that's happening. Is that your data is being hoarded by these tech giants who became this huge monopoly who can do anything. They're even worse, I'm just saying, they're worse than Rockefeller. They're worse than the Golden Age, worse than Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie and Rockefeller would never, Standard Oil would never this monopolistic.
So the question I have for you is, there's a lot of projects out there to do this type of, you call it economic model, really business, right?
Yes, for data too. Yeah, yes. Which is good, you know.
Are you open to partnering up with them?
Of course, you know, it's about social enterprise. You know what I mean? Social change. That's what I want. If these guys decide to be not bad, good. I'm not here to make money. It doesn't matter. If Zuckerberg decide one day, through his conscience, he's like, I want to make Facebook an open platform which will make no money, make Facebook a social enterprise. Good, great. And I did my job.
Then you won't be able to afford a high seat.
What?
You won't be able to afford the high seat for Congress.
Who cares?
So what I'm saying is that if I can make an effective change, this is what I'm talking about. It's not about competition. See, blockchains is not about struggle, conflicts, competition. That's not very blockchainish. Blockchains is about cooperation, about consensus. Blockchain is about, it's like grassroots. It's like welcoming everyone to your cause. The cause is very, very important. The value system is very important. Go ahead.
Did you see it not just as a social, but also kind of as a political tool in that you can kind of flatten things out across borders with blockchain? Meaning, the thing that kind of stuck in my head was...
You know, this is actually pretty funny. Karl Marx, again, back to this guy, he said, communism has no borders.
Yeah.
It breaks away the barrier of countries. That's why they had an organization called Comintern. I don't know, you know that? Communism International.
No.
That was founded in the 1800s.
Yeah. In America, we learned that communism is bad and it should be feared and all.
It's a capitalist brainwash.
Right.
Okay? Like I said.
Yeah.
The capitalist brainwash will last.
Communism is not exactly socialism, right? So communism is a governmental expression of the socialist economic setting.
Yes.
Right? So you have the Communist Party coming in, then you have authoritarians and all of that.
Yes.
That's different from socialism.
Yeah.
So I think what he's saying is the economic model.
No, what I'm saying is that the communism is the final stage of the human race, where we're going to progress into.
Yeah.
So we have feudalism, capitalism, socialism, and ultimately communism.
So,
well, the communism in the communist states, what's going to happen? It's not you're rewarded by your work. It's whatever you need. You don't get rewarded. So you're not rewarded. You're just like, you know, we have so many things. This is what happens with AI. You know, the robots will do everything, and we have so many things, so much food. You know, technology will be able to grow food at astonishing rates. We have so much of everything. Then why would you want personal property? In the communist state, nobody has any personal property anymore. You need clothes? Take it. You need food? Take it. Whatever you take it. So when that happens, we live in the communist state. But that's a little far, okay?
Maybe not. You're saying, my point is, can you kind of accelerate that through blockchain? Like, you know, we all talk about the singularity and how that creates the infinite abundance that you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Can you accelerate the organization of that through blockchain and kind of build borders that way?
Yes, it does. We call the Karl Marx is a philosopher, academic, and the third one is called prophet. So Karl Marx makes a prophecy that the world will transition through this, ultimately. That's a prophecy. So we're fulfilling his prophecy. Although we got disillusioned, okay, for the last 100 years, we're like, no, communism doesn't work, socialism doesn't work. No, but we got disillusioned. But I believe the prophecy will still be there. It will be a ghost that lingers in the Western world. That's what they call it. Because the ideas, you know, this guy who lingers over of the capitalist world. Although the capitalist was very efficient at brainwashing people. So brainwashed by saying that the communists are very bad.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick, for the wonderful sharing. And actually, I was definitely the talking customer used to be the user of his one of the very first software called China Ren, and that's when I got to know him, and I believe him and I trust him. Like he said before, that he is here to change something, and I believe that everyone sitting here wants to do the same, change the world, make the world better, make the community better and bigger.
Yes.
And so that's where we are. That's the spirit of all the entrepreneurs. I believe that. And for today, if you want to, I think there are two benefits from here today. One of the airdrop from CDC.
Yeah.
The other one.
Telegram group.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's create a WeChat group first.
These guys don't have WeChats, right?
Yeah, WeChat.
Oh, we do.
They all got it.
Ready?
Yeah.
The world is flatter than you think.
Yeah. There's no model already for WeChat.
How am I going to talk to Dafu if I don't have WeChat?
You use Telegram. Well, in the blockchain world, a lot of people use Telegram. Right?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Let's do WeChat group first.
Oh, WeChat group. Okay.
Yeah. Then we will transfer to Telegram. Yeah. So if you have WeChat, please join.
Why I recommend the Telegram, although it's a very poorly designed software, because the spirit of Telegram is better than WeChat. Because WeChat run by an evil guy. His name is Pony Ma. Owner of Tencent. Okay, very bad company.
Well, I mean, the Chinese government can read it all.
What?
The Chinese government.
They can.
They can.
I heard
No,
Telegram is not much better. I heard people can read deleted message of Telegram.
but at least it's the spirit of blockchain. You know, these guys.
Yeah. Anyway, let's join a private group.